and girls, welcome to another broadcast of the Lawrence Report. On tonight's episode, we will be discussing episode 2 of Found. Now, I believe with this series right here on NBC, every week we're going to discover, a new missing person that has not been found, that hasn't received the national attention that they need, right? So on this episode right here, it's going to be dealing with a missing sex worker by the name of Jenny. So, and let me say this right here. I strongly believe that no matter what the person's job title, race, religion, ethnicity, whatever the case may be, everybody deserves to be found, just like the name of the show, Found, right? So, but Jenny, like I said, she's a missing sex worker, and her friends, they turn to Gabby and associates, her team, to report that she's missing. This episode, we discovered that Jenny has, unfortunately, the person who her stalker has been obsessed with her for quite some time. We learned that Jenny is actually she loves the arts, and that she's been missing for a while, and her friends, and her mother, everybody's worried about her, right? So Gabby and her team, they step up to the plate. They ask a couple questions, and they find out, the origin, the story of her background of why she's missing. So at the same time, we see Gabby early in the show. She is being awarded with the Person of the Week by Joy Reid. Joy Reid is the host of her NBC show, The Readout, The Readers. For those of you that watch MSNBC, and Joy's like, hey, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of what you've done. And does your stalker, does he still have any power over you? And Gabby says, well, no, like I've taken control over my stalker situation. Of course, nobody knows that Gabby Stalker, Sir, is alive and well and hiding in the basement of her home, right? So shout out to Joy Reid. She gave Gabby that title as a Person of the Week, and I found that to be very dope in itself right there. But getting back to the show, well, part of the show. So they're searching for Jenny. And when it comes to Jenny, it's a tough situation. Friends are worried. And we also find out that Trent has kind of already been looking for Jenny. Like, he started on this case. The only issue is he kind of dropped the ball. He basically said that, hey, we get so many cases a day that, this one right here kind of it slipped through the cracks for me, unfortunately. So, of course, the team is upset. And they do get a couple leads on some of the people that, because Jenny works at, it was a sex shop, not sex shop, but it was an online sexcapade thing. We'll call it that. I can't think the exact name of it. But it's like an online thing. And they do end up finding 3 individuals that they believe that could be linked to Jenny, or, who they think could be linked to Jenny. So they interview these people. And, none of them are really true cases, right? So what does Gabby do? She turns to Sir, because her and Sir have been basically working on these cases together, right? And she goes downstairs to the basement, and she wants to talk to Sir and ask him for his advice, ask him for, some help, right? And when Sir finds out that Jenny's a sex worker, he's like, no, I'm not helping out. Like, because, he's like, hey, this is bottom of the barrel. Like, who would want to help a sex worker? Like, she knows what she's doing, right? So, she tells him, if you don't help, you don't eat. Like, I'm not feeding you that night, right? So later we end up having a flashback, and we see that Sir is talking to Gabby. He's talking to Gabby, and in the flashback, they're celebrating basically his 1-year anniversary of him capturing her. Yeah, tell me about it. So he gives her a cake, and with this cake, he's like, if you don't eat, this isn't going to work out, and you don't eat this cake right here, you won't eat nothing else for the night. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, okay, cool. So she remembers the deal, and when it happens right there, we also see Zeke. Zeke is agoraphobic, meaning that he cannot, leave his spot You know, he's not good with large crowds and places, like big places and things of that nature right there. So Zeke ends up getting a package right at the door. Of course, like I say, he can't really leave his spot. And with this package, he tries to reach for it on his own, but eventually he ends up getting a stick. And he reaches out a little bit too far, and unfortunately, he hit his head and he starts bleeding, right? It's not later till Don, you know, Don ends up finding him. And Zeke and Don, they have a complicated relationship. I think Don wants Zeke to step up to the plate and be, you know, a better person. He wants him to do more. And I feel like, you know, for Don, he may not understand, you know, Zeke's motives right now, you know, and, you know, Gabby is insisting that these two, you know, work together. But let me backtrack for a second. I forgot about this crucial point right here. So, like I said, Jenny, she's a big fan of the arts, right? So, as they're investigating, they go back to the art gallery and they end up talking to one of the guards there. And, you know, at the time, you know, the guard's like, oh, yeah, I've seen Jenny, and I think she might have been talking to a male. Like, I think it might be like a male person stalking her. But that is not exactly quite all the marbles that we're searching for in this story, right? So we notice that Margaret has this vision, like she'll notice certain things in certain spaces, and she noticed that, you know, that there used to be like a painting that was on one of the walls. She's interviewing one of the, you know, one of the friends that Jenny is associated with, and she also sees this clicker as well. You know, her soup, that's kind of like you know, like a superpower for her, is just noticing things that are on the wall. So, you know, while they're doing that, they're getting together and they're realizing that, okay, we're going to use the friend to potentially trap, you know, the suspect. And it works. They use the friend as bait, and we come to find out that the person who was at the art gallery, who claimed that, you know, Jenny Stalker may be a man, was actually a female guard that was on the scene. She's been obsessed with Jenny for quite some time, and, you know, they rescue Jenny. But at the same time, of course, we have another flashback, right? In this flashback right here, we see a young Gabby, and Gabby's like, you know, I miss my family. I miss my father. Like, I'm tired of being here. You captured me. I want to be set free. Like, what must I do to finally be set free? She's like, I'm lonely. Like, I'm tired of being the only one down here. I'm lonely. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to make a compromise with you. I'm going to get somebody or find someone so you won't be lonely. And like I said, that's when Sir pulls up to the soccer field, and, you know, he decides that you know, he takes a young Lacey hostage, and he brings Lacey and a young Gabby together, and you know, that's how, unfortunately, they form their bond for quite some time. You know, for me, this show is a mixture of CSI meets, you know, Scandal meets Hannibal Lecter, because we don't know how far things are going to go with Sir. We don't know if, you know, down the road will he end up being like an anti-hero type kind of guy. But only time will tell when it comes to Sir. Like I said, for me, this is the best fall TV show that I've seen so far. I'm really loving it. And if you guys haven't been watching it yet, I hope that you do check it out. So far, we are only on episode 2. I believe there's 12 episodes this season. So yeah, we got a long way to go. We got to figure out what's going on with Gabby and Trent. I see that as a potential, you know, couple relationship goal type thing that's going to happen on the show. I mean, this man does constantly show up to our house. So we're going to see how that develops right there. I'm also interested to see the continuation of the relationship between Zeke and Don. I think we failed to realize that, well, Don failed to realize sometimes that, you know, at one point in his life, he was kind of like Zeke, you know, what wasn't, you know, always as confident, wasn't as always sure of himself, as we see now. So I'm interested to see how these storylines are going to play out in the future. So if you're watching the show, please comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts about Found. If you like what I was discussing today on my channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment. And as always, thank you for tuning into the Lawrence Report.